Welcome everybody back to the Dragon's Lair. My name is Wade, and this is my show. Let's talk Warhammer 40k Tyranids. I know 10th edition is right around the corner. I'm super excited for that, but I do want to finish up my Tyranid series before I get started on anything else. We're talking about Tyranofexes today. You can find the Dragon's Lair on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram as the space dragons space liar or the _ dragons _ liar. Tyranofexes. I love Tyranofexes. So once again, they have a degrading stat block. So 9+ wounds, 5 to 8, 1 to 4. At full, movement 9, great. Weapon skill 3, wonderful. Ballistic skill 3, wonderful. Strength 7, it's gonna be an 8 by the time I'm done with it, just like the movement's gonna be a 10 because I'm gonna add adrenal glands. Tough 8, wonderful, bring it on. Wounds 17, I'm sorry. Attacks 4, leadership, who cares, 2+ save, really cool. So, obviously, they come with powerful limbs, stinger salvos, and then you get your choice of acid spray, flesh bore, hive, or rupture cannon. I only take mine 2 different ways, rupture cannon or acid spray. And I actually run 2 rupture cannons in my army, because I'm a sucker for rupture cannons. So let's look at the rupture cannon. 48 inches, you're hitting everything on the board. Heavy 3, which is great because you can shoot it in melee. Strength 14, yeah buddy. So right there you are taking out vehicles, you're hurting knights, you're hurting super heavies, you're all over it with strength 14. AP 4, awesome. Hard to make a save on AP 4. Damage, D6 plus 4. That has the potential to be pretty swingy, but when your minimum damage is 5 and your maximum damage is 10, that's a good day. That's a very good day. Let's talk about the acid spray for a second. 18 inches, which is pretty good. Heavy, D6 plus 6. Strength 6, good AP, good damage. Each time the attack is made with this weapon, the attack automatically hits. It's a Space Marine killer. Which means it will kill Fire Warriors, it'll kill Orc Boys, it'll kill Imperial Guardsmen. It'll kill... If it kills Space Marines, it'll kill anything weaker than Space Marines. They're both really good options, and you see people do them both. Like I said, I do take 2 Rupture Cannons. Don't forget about your Stinger Salvos. It's not a great weapon, but whatever. I put Adrenal Glands on mine, so that, you know, movement is +1 and strength is +1. That means I'm strength 8 and movement 10, which is wonderful. I never have enough points for the toxin sacks. If I do, sometimes I throw away the 5 points for the toxin sacks. Like I said, I take rupture cannons or acid spray. I am much more likely to take rupture cannons. So, you know, when you put together your army, at least I do, I think about, okay, you know, what are my troops that I'm going to need for OBSEC? And then I think about, okay, what am I going to fight vehicles with? Well, this is usually my anti-vehicle answer. And then I say, okay, what am I going to fight elite infantry with? And sometimes that's an exocrine. Tyrants can do both, and they're better or worse depending upon their loadout. But tyrants are great at everything. So tyrants can kind of fill in the gap. My cam up there is modeled with the rupture cannon. I've got my rupture cannons magnetized, so I can just take them off and go with acid spray. But that's how I run mine. So special abilities, he does have the death throws. Keep in mind with death throws, so when it dies, you roll a d6. If you get a 6, the closest enemy within 6 inches suffers a d6 mortal wounds. So his death throws is bigger than the exocrines. So d6 mortal wounds is kind of a big deal. He's a big boy too, very big boy. Keywords that are going to be important here: monster and horned chitin. So let's look at some stratagems. So some stratagems is going to be rapid regen. I would always keep rapid regen on the table for any time you have a monster that needs to jump up a bracket. So for example, 5 to 8 wounds is middle bracket. So if you're at 8 wounds and you're like, oh man, like I really need that 3+ ballistic skill, if you spend the 1 CP, you're going to rapid regen him and you're going to get that 1 wound back, guaranteed. So with one wound back, he jumps into top bracket and he's ready to rock. You just need him in top bracket on your turn. That's all you need. I would also remember Trample Charge. Trample Charge is going to affect anyone who has Horned Chitin, and is going to allow them on a charge to roll a d6, and on a 1 and a 2 it's so much mortal wound. Sorry, on a 1 and on a 1 I think it's nothing. On like a 2 to 3, and then a 4 to 5, and then a 6. There's a range on it. But anyways, he's going to do more mortal wounds. It's insane. It's really good. I usually keep it for my tyrants, but Trample Charge, it's awesome. Some people also keep Indomitable Monstrosity, so that affects any monster in your army, and then that monster is going to, you can't wound it on a 1, 2, or a 3. Now, Tough 8, it's already hard to wound it on 1, 2, or 3, but this is what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is people out there with Volcano Lances, and people out there with anything strength 10, strength 12, strength 14, so a lot of night weapons, Tau railguns, Astra Militarum, super heavy tanks, stuff like that. People are going to take those sorts of things to power down your tough 8s. So if it's the difference between getting wounded and getting not wounded, because them having to roll a 3 or them having to roll a 4 is the difference between the low side of average and the high side of average. And if you rob them of that one wound, that can make all the difference, especially for 1 CP. Those are the stratagems that I suggest. Like I said, I use mine as a heavy weapons platform. Just remember, you can charge him up there and get into melee combat. He's not bad in melee combat with weapon skill of 3 and 4 attacks. So then mine's strength 8 because of the adrenal glands. AP1 sucks, but you got you have a very good chance of wounding, and then you have a very good chance of killing some stuff with 2 damage. AP1's not great, but whatever. But remember, you can shoot into melee with your gun. So if you have acid spray, get up there and get into melee, melee them and acid spray them in the same turn. That is a good way that a Tyranofex can power down a bunch of dudes sitting on top of an objective. A Tyranofex can shoot well, and then win its melees depending on what guns that it has. Lastly, remember that you can do adaptive physiology on anything that is a monster. So the really famous ones that a lot of people use is Dermic Symbiosis. That gives a 4+ invulnerable. Makes survivability amazing. Synaptic Enhancement. So it gives it Shadow and the Warp and turns it into a Synapse creature. If you're playing Leviathan, like I play Leviathan, because he's now a monster that has Synapse, that means he gets transhuman now. So you can't wound him on a 1, 2, or a 3 just because he's a Synapse monster. Very worth it, in my opinion. Very worth it. And then Voracious Ammunition. So this is where I choose to put Voracious Ammunition in my army, which is when you shoot something, if you hit it, doesn't say if you wound it, it says if you hit it, roll a d6. If you get a 2 or above, that unit takes an additional d3 mortal wounds. Now, I know it might seem like overkill, but my Exocrine is only shooting at high wound models. I'm shooting at tanks. I'm shooting at special characters. I'm shooting at all kinds of stuff. So even if I pour 10 mortal wounds into it, and then get a d3, get a 2, it's worth it, because the only thing my Tyranofex, is shooting at is high wound models. We here at the Dragon's Lair understand that you are a very busy person. You have relationships with significant others and children and friends, and you have jobs and school and dogs and all kinds of stuff. So we want to say thank you for spending your time here with us at the Dragon's Lair.